I will be speaking from Michael and Michael. We've got Speaker Michael, who's going to be speaking on behalf of mental advocacy, being a mental health constituent. And we all got ADD. Hey, hey, hey. I got it like a fucking disease. Sorry. Hey, hey. We all got ADD. Hey, hey, hey. Got it like a freaking disease. Hey, hey, hey. How about a little this? Maybe a little that. Who here knows that? Sitting here retarding out in the Quick Trip parking lot, and people, it's packed. People are walking by staring at me. Disease. Hey, we all got ADD. So, updates. Mama bought me I got a new tablet. So sweet. As most of you should already know, I have a tablet and a phone, and both are cracked. This is ADD. We have a $700-800 laptop. There's no way in hell my wife's let me get my dirty paws on that thing, right? So, we got a new one. So, we are gonna do details. So, for today's story, on with today's story. So, the year was, I don't know, it was some time ago, and I worked for Scantny's, a.k.a. Antony, Scabneys. We had nicknames for days for this guy. So, as I discussed, I've worked off and on with him traveling for years. One time was roughly around the time Colin was a baby, an infant. These were times. There was a time I worked for myself for a year and a half, 2 years. It's not that time. There were times I had to work strictly for Scabneys and was forced into it. So the times that I traveled was definitely times that I had a son already. So let me get that clear. I didn't travel until I was forced to, had other people take care of. So I used to have to travel a lot for this silly, freaky fuck. And, excuse my language. And so we're going to his hometown in Kentucky, right? We're going to an average regular store, and we're going to be gone roughly 10 days, right? Well, before I even, more's coming back to me as I'm sitting here thinking about it and telling the story. So, we go out of town. We go to do a mall, we did a lot of refurbished stores. We turned stores over from something to another something. So we're all the time doing stuff like that, right? Like a store, for instance. This store in particular was a Victoria's Secrets, and New York and Company bought it out, right? So me and this guy Bone Man, who was my neighbor slash buddy, who raped me of all my belongings when I went to jail. Same Bone Man, next door neighbor, POS. They called him Bone Man. So me and Bone Man went with Scabneys to Kentucky to Anthony's mom. She's gone now, but this is when she was still alive. This was her hometown. Anthony's mom owned a lot of property in Kentucky, right? We'd go there sometimes and do work and remodel some of the places, right? So when she passed away, he's got a sister too. Scabney and Antony has got a sister, and they look a lot alike. And dark hair and kind of goofy looking, tall. And so his mom's got all this property, right? So I know when she passed away, he had to have came into a boatload. I don't even know how many properties. There were at least 20 to 30 houses, right? Fell into Anthony and his sister's lap. So, like I said, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Good, great. So we go to his hometown coincidentally during Mother's Day, right? So we go into the store. And I remember specifically, like I said, it was Mother's Day. On Mother's Day, I break my hand, right? So this is Mother's Day. We're working at the mall. I think it was even a Sunday. And Anthony's shopping in this mall with his mom, right? We're in, like I said, we're in his neck of the woods where his family lives. He's shopping in the mall with his mom, and me and Bone Man are in the store, and we go up in the attic of this place, right? It was a small store. Imagine a store like in a busy mall, okay? Imagine walking in one of the entrances or exits and there being like a clothing store right there. You know, bunch of glass, you can see in this thing, all that, right? Imagine that, a small Victoria's Secrets is what it was. They had, you know, regular size Victoria's Secrets. They have some of these smaller ones in you know, I guess these less, you know, developed or, you know, not as, you know, financially well off neighborhoods, areas, whatever. They have, you know, Victoria's Secrets from a small store up to a very extra large. This was a very, very small Victoria's Secret. Like I said, you walk in this mall and there's glass, and you go around the corner, it's on the corner, and you turn the corner and it's still glass, it's still that store. And so we usually put up paper, or we spray paint it. We go in and remodel one of those, but usually they'll make you build a barricade if you're working on a storefront. You should all have an idea what I'm saying. So this one didn't need a barricade. We just would take paper and kind of cover the windows and the glass the best. You know, we were in there doing construction, paint, and all that. You can't be just, you know, doing that and be in the mall. You have to be, you see what I'm saying? You have to be, you know, where people can't see you doing that. So we're kind of keeping an eye on people. Me and Bowman are in the store now. Scab Needs is gone. We got just amount of time to get high. We bring some killer weed with us. While we were there, we hooked up with Anthony's something, his brother, sister-in-law, something like that inside the family, right? Hooked us up with a bag of some Kentucky super duper while we were there. It wound up being cheaper than it was back home at the time. It was $35 for a quarter of the loud, you know. So we had the super loud. Me and Bowman are in the store. So we decide it's Scabney's is there with his mom. So Bowman talks me into, wow, what the hell did I do? Old Alabama. I went the wrong way. Shit. Damn, I hope my wife don't call soon. She's going to. Somehow I messed up. Anyways, so me and Bowman decide to fire it up. We don't have no other options. There's a lot of security mall. There's a lot of cops outside, all this kind of stuff. Remember that. We didn't have nowhere we could go burn, you know. Anthony would have been pissed, you know, if we would have drove off and whatever. We had a short window to get high while he was gone, right? So we go up in the attic of this place, and I had done this several times before. We go up, you know, we get up on the cabinet. We crawl up the cabinets. Imagine like shelving and stuff, right? We climb up the shelf and it's a drop ceiling, and we just open some of those ceiling tiles, and so we just stand up there and getting high, right? I've done this 1,000,001 times. Like I said, I traveled off and on for 20 years, so me smoking pot in malls is nothing new, right? So we blaze this place out, and it gets out of control. And people are literally, we're peeking and looking, and people are walking all around the mall, and they're looking in the air and shit. You know, this thing's you know, it's done gone, and when it goes, you know what I'm saying, it carries and travels. So this thing, you know, I smoked out like a whole wing of a store. We're literally peeking out, you know, make sure nobody was coming. And, you know, you'd see people walking around looking like crazy as hell because you didn't know where it could, you know. If you just smelled weed in the mall, you'd be like, what the fuck, you know. I remember that was hilarious. So we get good and blazed, and my dumbass goes to, well, it really wasn't a dumbass call. So there was this like 2,000-pound cabinet, right? Imagine a 2,000-pound cabinet. How big, tall, and long. Like one of those display cases at Victoria's Secrets, right? Most of you girls are going to know what I'm talking about. But that big. One big, huge, enormous, gargantuan cabinet that, you know, could put thousands of dollars of clothes on, right? So I got to lower this thing to the ground, right? And I tie a rope around it, and I got it secured off, right? I got ropes around it, and there's an eye hook. There's a steel ball-like thing, right, screwed into the ceiling, and it's got like a hook on it, right? It's like an I-beam, I-hook, some shit, right? Could hold, you know, withstand anything. So I got double rope going through the I-beam, and I'm going to lower this cabinet slowly to the ground, right? I got like tension on it, and I go like this, and literally my hand just did that. It's all it did. It didn't even hurt or do nothing, but somehow in there when I was lowering it, it went like this to my hand, the cabinet, and automatically broke my hand, right? Automatically, my hand swells up like a softball, right? Quadruple, duple, can't even arm, and my hand's so swollen, my fingers won't even, none of my fingers will move, right? I'm like, I can move my thumb and that's it. My whole hand swelled up like a grapefruit, like immediately, right? And so I was like, F. And it didn't even really hurt that bad at first. Like I said, all my hand did was go like that. I didn't really put hardly no pressure at all on it, but it broke my freaking hand. So, being the piece of shit, scantny that he was, I stayed and worked, okay? I had to work and do and cut, trim, and crown molding with one arm, okay? I would lay the board. I didn't have this hand was broke, so I'd have to lay the board on my hand, and all I had was my left hand to measure, to pull, to cut, to paint, everything. I remember cutting wood, having to let it just rest over my arm because my hand was broke, but my hand was no good, so I just had to use it like a, you know, like a shelf. My hand was no good, my arm was good, so I wound up having to paint and holding a roller there and using my left arm, which I don't do, you know, I just use my arm, but now I can't use my hand. I painted a whole freaking store with a broken hand like that, rolling like that, a whole freaking store. So it was miserable. So 2-3 days of this shit, right? Well, my man Bowman got them Xannies. Got them Xans. So Bowman's one of these bipolar, can't be in a closet alone, this kind of guy, right? So he's one of those. He's one of these guys that needs rubbed and pampered, right? So he's got to take Zanax, right, for his whatever emotions. I don't know. So he's got Zanax all the time, and him and his wife are them type of people that know the system and every freebie there is to get and do, and every coupon and every slithery, slimy way there is to screw the government over. They know how to do it, right? They got all kind of different shits, right? So we had it out. We got to a time where we were fighting, and the police were called. We might have broke in to get them back and done something, and so police was knocking on my door during this time, right? They got an investigation. You know, I can't talk. I can't really, say too much about it. It's not even what stories. That's another story. So let me not get too far lost. So we got this hell of a week. 2-3 days, my hand's broken. Finally, I tell scab niece, take me to doctor. Keep in mind now, I'm not even nowhere near yet. I'm not even yet into. This is even before I started taking Percocets a lot, right? This is that far back ago. So I wasn't even hooked on opiates, is what I'm saying. I hadn't even got hooked up on opiates. It was nowhere near even close to my mother-in-law getting cancer and got an exuberant amount of drugs. This is way before then too, okay? And so I break my hand. I tell him, take me to the doctor or send me home. You're doing one or the other. So he sends me to the doctor. Remember, I went to the doctor. It was $250, and we were there like 10 days. And it was $250 that he paid the doctor to see me and wrote me a script, right? When the doctor was looking at me and such, he put my hand on like this thing, like he was trying to measure and stuff. This little thing you put your hand on for measurement, whatever. I remember him trying to touch my hand, and I kicked him. I kicked him in the shin hard. Just one of those, freak out, self protection mechanism. I just freaked out. Oh, and I kicked the shit out of him. He's like, oh. So he automatically says, oh, damn, he's probably in tremendous pain. So he gave me perc 10s, right? And this is, like I said, way before I started even getting into opiates. So these perc 10s was like, like heroin to me at that time. So I get a script of perc 10s. I'm eating them some bitches like candy, like fucking now and laters. I'm eating the piss out of them, right? My hand's killing me. It's broke. Birdman's got, Bowman's got the Zans. So I got the Zans at night. So what do? Make a bad thing even worse? So I start taking the Zans. Me and Bowman are staying at Anthony's sister's house. Anthony's staying at his mom's, okay? We're not even staying together at night. His goofy sister, Terry, I believe, or something. Anthony in a girl version. And she's letting me smoke. She's letting me smoke in her house. She's letting me smoke in her house on her brand new $3,000 plus sectional couch she just bought, right? Take a guess what happens next. I should end it right here and make there be a part 2. I know Ryan used to do that and it was awesome. So what do you think happened to a guy who's broke his hands eating? And I went back to the doctor, and like I said, that part of it just came to me before I even told the whole story, before I even, thought of the story of the broken hand. I forgot how juicy it was and got. So this lady lets me smoke cigarettes, and I'm on Zanax, and I'm getting stupid at night. And guess what happens? Yes, of course, right. I burn her freaking brand new couch. And what do I do about it? I just have to, part 2. Stay ADD.